Hello, hello, my dear friends, you've reached Elena's bar. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. She'll help improve your fitness, but there's also so much more. 'Cause here are just a few things that this channel has in store. There's barre and there's Pilates and there's belly dancing too. And many styles of yoga, so I'm sure there's one for you. Then watch her practice piano stream from right within her home. She's in such peak condition, she'll outrun the metronome. Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. They're the best place on the internet, the very best by far. It's not just the piano, but the ukulele too. The guitar and violin are even more that she can do. She does so many different things, it's hard not to lose track. I nearly didn't mention that she posts on her Substack. Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. Yet controversial topics may be brought up for discussion, but try not to provoke her or she'll swear at you in Russian. And sometimes certain topics can make quite a big impression. So remember, you take part at your own risk and your discretion. Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. You might even meet Elena if you're quite a loyal fan. She's got a fixed male cat, but she's so desperate for a man. We've really got it all, then you couldn't ask for more. So sit right back and watch Elena shave a 3 or 4. Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre. The best place on the internet, the very best by far.
Hello, hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to Elena's Barre and the resurgence of sanity. Great to see you guys. We have full house today. Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
I'm doing great. I'm having fun this week.
You're having fun this week? Yeah, White Claws is in the house. Great to see you, White Claws.
Yeah, Nick and I have been stirring up shit on Twitter because Twitter people deserve it.
Yeah, well, I piss off more people, I guess. That's the idea.
We try to bring sanity, but some people don't want to think.
I know. And it's fascinating. I find it that a lot of men, they adopted the feminist mindset. They think and behave like women. When you challenge them, they're just like doubling down on their delusions. And I find it fascinating.
That's what happens when you have entire generations of men who they've grown up in a society that's never known anything other than female primary. They don't even recognize that they're doing it.
Yeah, they are doing it on autopilot, and it's sad. Yeah, well, guys. Okay,
what's our topic today?
Well, we are talking about the Chinese tiger wives coming to the US. And guess who suggested this topic? Who suggested this title? Oh, guys.
Okay, I'm guilty. It's not that it's not the Chinese women gonna invade. It's their behavior.
Yeah.
It's going to soon be seen over here.
Yeah.
Why? Do you want to know why?
Yeah.
Because as the economy gets worse, and we're probably headed into a recession. If not now, a year or two, it's eventually going to happen. So companies tighten their belts and they get rid of the unessential, non-productive people. And this has already happened in certain industries where a bunch of people have been laid off. Let's say, Twitter? Oh, yeah, Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Elon Musk laid off a lot of people when he bought it and changed the name to X. There are no statistics, but I'm guessing a lot of those employees were women. And if you remember back in the day, they were TikToking about their day and how they showed up and got breakfast and then did this and that and then checked out the gym and all kinds of fluffy bullshit. And okay, so if the women are laid off and now they don't have the money and maybe government benefits are curtailed a little bit, they start getting desperate. Okay, so that's one factor. Okay, let's assume a man's laid off. Have you ever been with a wife when you lost your job? I
Oh,
have.
yeah.
The
well,
women are not pleasant. They start riding your ass, expecting you to just do magic and get a better job and this and that. They don't really have much time or support for a man who is not bringing in money. So, okay, that's what we're going to watch in China because it's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that behavior is going to happen here. This
Wow.
behavior, sorry to say, women behave similarly all over the world.
Well, they all
So,
have the same female nature. What do you expect, right? And yeah, I saw
hey,
that
I
video.
want to be a passport bro and go overseas someplace and
Uh,
find a good woman.
exactly.
better stay overseas then. Or we had an episode, was it last week? Right?
Two
2 weeks
weeks
ago.
ago, yes, we did.
Hey, stop making fun of our co-host here, Steve.
I don't take
He's a
it
big boy.
personally.
He can take it.
Yeah, we don't take it personally, right, Alan?
Right way to do it, though, isn't there, Plutarch? The passport bro thing. There's a way to do it, and even then, you're not guaranteed.
Well, yes, you're guaranteed nothing, and yeah, there's ways you can do it, but at the end of the day, it's still going to depend a lot on the woman
Yeah.
because it turns out
And
they
lots of money.
well, yeah, but it turns out women have this thing called agency,
Oh,
which means they get to decide things for themselves, whether you want
and
them
that
to or
is nice.
not.
In another 20 years, we'll get to determine whether Plutarch made the right choice in passport broing, kind of, and marrying Elena. We'll find out in about 20 years.
That's yeah, that's yeah, everyone sees what's now. And it's so funny. Guys could flash their wives and say, "See, but now I'm married. Now I'm happy."
Well,
And she's so
okay,
compliant. Look at you. I've
well,
been following one simp who has over 2 million followers on
eh,
Instagram, and he's like, "Oh, here is the girl, and she's with him. Like, is she with you for the clout?"
well, the point that Steve is making is actually very cleverly related to what we're talking about today. Okay,
Yeah.
because while things might look okay in the moment today here in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? We go into a recession later this year, next year, whenever, things won't look so good.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
then
you test your women basically in bad times when you are out of job. And I'm not saying, look, I'm not saying that, like, get unemployed and
no,
purposefully
we're
go
not saying
test
that.
your woman, right?
Two things will
But
happen. You'll have
Okay.
women wiping up men. I mean, men wiping up women. Sorry, because women are desperate. But then a lot of women leaving men who lost their job.
We started out in our, in the banter at the beginning where you guys were on a Twitter war.
mhm.
Okay, the same dynamic. You were on kind of a Twitter discussion with a man, but he felt threatened. What does he do? Double down, acts out of his emotional, fear based stuff, and it's irrational. And he lashes out, hey, Men do that, but women do that a whole hell of a lot more. It's almost a certainty. When a woman feels threatened by financial hardship or whatever, she is going to project the blame elsewhere.
No, I had to deal
God
with that
help
this
you
week,
if
Steve.
you're. What's that?
I had to deal with that this week. I'm having fun with it.
So she's going to direct it at a man, and if you're the closest man to her, you're going to get the blame. That's what we're going to
Man
talk
bad.
about.
Yeah, guys, if you have any comments and questions, please leave a comment in the chat. The chat function is available. We will bring your comments occasionally. And remember to please like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. So yeah, let's watch the video, right, Steve? Are you ready to watch the video?
Sure.
Okay, I'll bring it up here and we'll watch it.
Look at yourself. No money, no job. I should have
Can you
listened
go
to my
full screen?
parents. I
There.
should never have married you. I moved so far just to marry you. And for what? To live like this? The man in the video did not respond, but glanced sideways at his wife before continuing to play on his phone. This is another woman whose husband is unemployed. You've been out of work for 3 months. We're a family of 4. How are we supposed to get by? It's almost Chinese New Year and you're just a useless bum. Another woman is voicing frustration about her husband. What are you just sitting there for? You do nothing all day but sit around. You've been unemployed for 2 months. How can you still just sit there? Go find a job already. New Year is coming and we can barely afford to put food on the table. The good jobs you can't get, the bad ones you don't want. I don't even know what's going through your head. This TikToker does not hold back, making a blunt remark.
男人你信不信？
Believe it or not, if a man loses his job, divorce is almost inevitable. There are barely any exceptions. It just shows that the moment a man stops making money, the first person to look down on him is his own wife.
但凡男人超过1年没有收入的话，
If a man goes a year without income, the chances of divorce are 85%. And now, I've hit that breaking point myself. I haven't updated my blog lately because I've been caught up in all of this. My wife told me straight out, I don't love you anymore. I feel like I don't deserve her now because she has her own ambitions. I've been trying to save our marriage, trying to change myself, but honestly, this is a result of years of built-up resentment, and this sudden crisis just pushed everything over the edge. The pressure reached its limit, and here we are. So for those who haven't gotten to this point yet, cherish the person beside you while you still can.
Below is yet another young couple breaking up.
Hello，兄弟们，你们要的大结局要来了啊！
Hey guys, the ending you've all been waiting for is here. My wife officially asked for a divorce today. We've had 3 big fights in the past 3 days since Monday, and I've reached my limit. I really don't know what to do anymore. I went ahead and blocked her on WeChat today. In the 6 years we've been together, she's always been the one to block me during arguments. I've never blocked anyone before. I never imagined the first person I'd ever block would be my own wife. I really don't want to believe that unemployment is what pushed us to this point, but I can't deny it either, because we've never been like this before.
This TikToker shares his experience, saying the issue began when he had planned to focus on job preparation this week while also researching potential business ventures. However, early in the morning, his wife sent him bad news. Property prices in their residential complex had dropped by nearly 2 million yuan. It
Can we
was
stop
the
it
same
here?
residential
1
complex in
second.
the same type of unit, yet
Before we get into the crisis of property prices,
Yeah.
do women act this way? Do American women act this way? All of a sudden you lose your job. She gets all bent out of shape and erratic. I would even say hysterical. And then, gee, you're not bringing in the money. I don't love you anymore. I'm divorcing you. Does that happen here?
Mm-hmm.
Every freaking day. Even in good times.
Yeah, imagine what would recession do to all of these marriages.
Well, what was that woman said, when a man loses his job, divorce is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think someone else mentioned 85% of the time, people get divorced after the man loses his job within 1 year of
Yeah.
when the man loses his job.
Yeah, and that was a guy.
Yeah.
That was a guy who said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
They used to
that
be family units. They used to be family units that, they used to have kind of families would come to agreement, get married, and they could depend on the families, to kind of step in and help out, and then also give them another job, in the family business. But that is all destroyed and taken down these days. That does not exist anymore. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't even really exist as much even in China.
Yeah, so China has excuse me, China has the problem of the one child policy has destroyed the concept of a family numerically, right? You have one kid and that's the family.
yeah. Well, to answer the question, yes, we are talking about the behavior of Chinese tiger wives coming here, not them coming here. There's always been that meme of a Chinese tiger mom who just brutally controls and pushes her children. Yeah, she's controlling her husband and pushing her husband. And yes, we're talking about that behavior
Well, if
becoming
you
more and more and more common here in the
yeah,
US.
it's already happening. You can see how wives already control their husbands. I won't be surprised, honestly.
Well, actually, there's an interesting point there. These women already control their husbands, but their husbands are still producing, so the women aren't leaving in large numbers yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
China is already in a recession. The data on that, particularly over the past couple months, has just been horrifying. The property, the property crash and all of that. They are there.
Mm-hmm.
And recessions have a tendency to move around the world, but it's not like the whole world goes into a recession on day one.
Yeah.
Right. So this episode is, I guess, kind of a heads up saying China's already experiencing this, and here's what they're seeing. It can absolutely come here too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like the lack of ignorance that women have.
A lack of ignorance?
Sorry. I was thinking too much. Yeah, the ignorance that women have to what's going on around them, like lack of understanding.
I'm going to borrow a Homath term here. He calls this Santaism. They have no idea what anything costs. They have no idea what it takes to do a job. Women don't do well with past or future.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to live in the present. And so all they see is that it costs money to live. Money's not coming in today because unemployed, and man not giving me stuff. Man bad.
Yeah.
Are you saying or implying that those marriage vows, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, for richer, for poorer, are you saying you can't count on her to actually fulfill those vows?
Yes. Women, for women, a vow or a promise is for today. Only men have this concept of future honor and dignity, whatever you want to call it. Right? That is a male concept. Women, she loves you today. Did the paycheck show up last week? Okay, she can tolerate you. Paycheck didn't show up this week. And look, it's not instant, right? You might have some savings. Women will tell themselves, remember, they're very present oriented. They'll tell themselves, oh, there's just a little bump in the road. He'll find another job. And this is what you see at the beginning of recessions. I don't know if you guys remember The Big Short, with the it's just a little gully.
Mm-hmm.
that woman while she's driving them around the real estate says, "Oh, it's just a little gully," right? Women will always tell themselves that it's just a little gully. So you might get a few months even out of a woman, and note how all these guys are talking about this. She didn't leave them the moment the paycheck stopped. Although I'm sure that happens, but it's actually not the norm.
I'd say my experience, she might be patient for about 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
The complaints will increase, but they're
Yes.
manageable for about 2 months. You know, if you're middle class and you got a little savings, and unemployment is coming in, and 2 months, okay. But now, after about 2 months, you're hanging around the house all the time. It's disrupting her schedule. And you had to tighten your belt. No, 2 months, that is about the end of her patience. And then things escalate. You might make it 3-4 months before she files for divorce, but I'd say mostly, you get, that's your window. It's gonna get
what happens if he
unbelievably ugly 3 to 4 months in.
What happens if he decides to flip burgers at McDonald's? Will that save him?
It's
No.
too low, too low for her standards, Nick.
She can do better than
She
a burger
deserves the
flipper
best.
at McDonald's. Plus,
Exactly.
they have robots to do that now.
She thinks that she deserves a better lifestyle. Always.
Well, I do remember when I was in South Dakota, they are hiring people at entrance at $15 an hour. It's not bad for burger flipping in the middle of nowhere.
It's not, but it's not enough for her.
Of course, not enough. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because what does the sisterhood tell them?
She deserves whatever she desires.
Exactly.
You can do better than that. Just leave that incompetent a-hole. He's worthless. He's useless.
Except
He's
for
replaceable.
in the recession
He's
times, a lot of men are unemployed during the recession times. So what will you find? Another brokey out there? Like, okay, you replace your husband in hopes that you will find somebody else, you leave him, and then who is out there to pick you up? Nobody.
No, that's the Santaism will return. Somebody will pick me. Remember, women will look at the 2% or the 1% or the 0.5%, and they'll say, but there's a chance.
Yeah, 2% chance out of 98% non-chance of that happening. Yeah.
See, statistics don't matter.
I know.
2% of the men. You see, I was right. The man for me exists. And I deserve that man. Therefore, why should I settle for anything less than I deserve?
Yeah,
It will happen.
I
will manifest it.
Yeah, right. You and every other woman who believes deserve this man. Good luck with that.
You know the stars. They have to follow the stars. What's it called? Astrology?
Astrology.
No, but like they're what's it called? The thing that they get about what's it called? They get in the newspapers and you find
horoscope.
Tells the horoscope.
Oh, horoscope.
Those are the answer. Those are the answer.
Yeah,
my horoscope this morning, told me, I'm definitely going to find a man, and he's going to be perfect, just like I want.
I wonder what will happen to all of these pseudosciences, like
I can tell you.
Like
explodes.
Horoscopes.
The demand for it explodes during a recession, and this is actually just an observation. In a recession, not all industries go down. Some go up, some go down a lot less. Okay. And anything that panders to women's desperation does very, very well in a recession. You see explosions of horoscopes and self-help books and teachers and whatnot. In fact, there's a scene at the end of The Big Short where that same woman who did the It's Just a Gully thing is going to yet another self-help seminar about the latest scam. Right? Like that stuff does, because people want to believe that there's an easy way out of their problems. And as the problems get worse, more and more people become desperate for the easy way out.
So, are you saying that if I opened a business, tarot readings by Sandman, helping women manifest their future, are you saying it could be very profitable?
Steve, properly marketed, well, I don't know what you do with all the money, because you're an old guy who lives simply, but
there's a reason why Joel Osteen is so popular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might have to lose your soul, but yeah, you can make some money.
Exactly, white cloth, self-help meds.
Yeah, Steve, I think, I mean, what could you do with all the money you'd make? Because you'd make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Women will throw their money at stuff like this in a recession. But I know how you live, so I'm just sitting here going, what would Steve do with it? I'm struggling to come up with an answer, because it's Steve. He's just a simple old, simple gray hair.
I could probably entertain myself pretty well. I might have to plug my nose at some of the crap that I'd have to smell. But, yeah. It probably doesn't match with my ethics either.
Yeah. There's always that pesky ethics problem.
I know, right? Like, I know I wouldn't be able to do that. I will say, like, ladies, come over here. I'll teach you the wisdom and the easy way how you can manifest whatever you want into your dreams. Just pay me money. Like, I even couldn't do it.
See, truth always brings morality in with it. If you're not actually pursuing truth, but pursuing bullshit, that's actually immoral.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rollo. You lost that one. But you're welcome to debate it.
Oh boy.
I don't think he will, but we'll see, guys. So shall we keep watching the video with the housing crash? Okay. The housing crash is coming to the US too, by the way. Right?
It's already in process.
It takes a while.
Oh, but housing 18 months, 2 years, something like that.
Well, let's keep watching this one.
Their own apartment was even smaller. They had purchased it for close to 5 million yuan, but now it's likely wouldn't even sell for 3 million yuan, meaning a loss of more than 2 million yuan. He said he was already feeling down that morning, and upon seeing the message, he realized that years of saving from work online had all been wiped out.
结果他晚上回来的时候，就一进门，先怀疑我是不是抽烟了。
Then tonight, when she came home, the first thing she did was accuse me of smoking. But I swear, I didn't. A long time ago, when I was feeling really down, I smoked a cigarette at home once, and she never let it go.
He's henpecked.
She's convinced I smoke at home all the time. So now she checks.
Nick, what did you say?
One. He's henpecked. He might as well just smoke a big fat one.
Well, there's another point that Steve likes to make in this. For women, it's about how they feel. She feels like he smoked a cigarette. And she remembers that one time he did. Well, she remembers that one time he did, and she feels like he did it again.
No, I've said something else about that. It's true. He was wrong. He did something she didn't like. Smoking a cigarette. He was stressed out. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Big fucking deal. But he did it. She didn't approve. It happened 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years ago. It doesn't matter. She relates her current feelings to how she felt there and the disrespect, and he's not doing his job. So she brings the event into the present.
If she
And she feels it this way now. So this is what women do in an argument. All your past transgressions get reinterpreted and come into the present. That's what, hey, we're having an argument. She brings everything in, including the kitchen sink. Yeah. Been there, felt that, experienced that.
It will happen again once the divorce papers come around.
Oh yes, she will
Yes.
remember everything, every single detail you did wrong to her. And see, this is the difference. Like, if she actually loved the guy and she wanted to stay with him, she would have forgiven that one-time cigarette, or maybe like it would be in the back of her mind, but she wouldn't be bringing it up every single time.
It's a matter of who's in charge here.
Yeah.
Hey, woman, you're not in charge. If I smoke a cigarette, that's me. You don't get to police my behavior. Now, that's it. I don't want to hear anything more of it. Done. So she thinks she's in charge of policing him. Don't let your woman do that to you. Nip that in the bud. Yes, you can tolerate it when times are good, because she's not going to be that bad. But that behavior is going to get 100 times worse when times get bad.
Yeah. Fake Human is here. Great to see you. Says, don't abandon wisdom. She will watch over you, love you, and she will guard you. What do you think, guys?
As long as you're in charge.
True. Well, let's keep watching.
And hey, have good male friends. Don't give everything to the woman. Don't give her all your feelings and insecurities to her.
Absolutely.
Don't talk about your problems with your wife.
Oh, don't.
A good male friend to talk about it. Yeah. You know what? You can be vulnerable with your male friend. And it's even recoverable if you cry to your male friend. But if you cry to your wife,
oh no,
it's done.
Oh no. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's keep watching, right?
Every time she comes back home. Then she noticed I had worn the front door slippers into the master bedroom, and that completely set her off. She started going off on me about everything. I didn't say anything back, but I really didn't do it on purpose.
This man shared that his wife criticized him in front of both his mother and hers, telling her mother that he never cooks and always orders takeout. She also accused him of lying around all day.
1 second.
This is called contempt.
Yeah.
Or what's it called? She despises him. It's over. 9 times out of 10, I will say, might be even more than that. Once Steve is the one who actually, I think, the one who he did an episode on this. And once a woman not just disrespects you, but she despises and has contempt for you, that's a monster at that point. She's already checked out. And if she's not checked out, she will be pretty soon checked out. You're done, pretty much.
I would say if we've reached the stage of contempt, it's 10 out of 10. It's 100%. A person who has contempt for you, there is no coming back from that. It doesn't matter what genuflections you do her way.
So are you saying that dance monkeys dance and become a better man for her is not going to work?
Not at that point.
Yeah, at that point, no. In this particular case, if your wife is trashing you openly in front of your own family and her family, just walk, guys. Just go get the lawyer then and there. I don't have any other advice for you because there is no other advice to give. There is no recovering that. I don't care what you do.
I got to bring up a recent internet drama. maybe.
Hmm.
Before contempt becomes lack of respect.
Yes.
So recently, Trent Horn's wife was on some Catholic show,
Oh,
and she
yes.
talks about how she was tempted to have an affair. Maybe it was even an emotional affair. What the hell are you doing, woman? You're talking about how okay, let's just paraphrase. Your husband wasn't good enough, and you were attracted to another man, and you were sorely tempted. Okay, that's not contempt, but that shows a remarkable lack of respect, and you're actually exposing your dirty laundry to the world. It's like you're criticizing your husband in front of family. So I'm saying that's a precursor to contempt. And if it's not addressed by Trent Horn, it's only going to get worse. And I think regardless of what he says, the statistics of divorce are, I would say his probability just went up dramatically.
Yeah. I remember that Pearl actually did a show on this. She called her out, and it's good that she did it. I mean, I'm talking about Pearl because, yeah, this kind of behavior is not okay. When women criticize their husbands publicly, they humiliate their husbands publicly. Even some guys were saying, but she actually didn't cheat on him. It doesn't matter.
Well, this is the 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 team woman, the longhouse, whatever you want to call it. They
Mhm.
desperately need to categorize emotional affairs as not affairs, because women, yeah, they cheat physically, but women cheat emotionally long before it gets that far. Men, I'm not saying that they all do this, but a lot of affairs that men get into tend to be affairs of physicality. And so there's less lead up to it. Okay.
Mhm.
And so the longhouse is just trying to get something like that, but for the women. They're trying to make it so that only cheating in the physical cheating is only in the physical realm. It can never be an emotional affair. And that's actually I watched the interview that she gave. And when you listen to her talk about, that is the exact template that she's trying to use. Well, it's okay because I didn't open my legs and enter and let another man enter me, right? And no, it's not okay, because what you have said is that you so despise this man that you're with that you will seek out the attention of other men specifically for the purpose of monkey branching. Actually, this
Well,
is
yeah,
what she's trying to do.
it starts with emotional attachment. And the fact that she even brought it up, if it wasn't emotional attachment for her to this man, she wouldn't have brought it up publicly. She would be like, okay, whatever, I'm not interested in him. No, it bothered her enough to bring it up publicly, which tells us that she is already emotionally cheating on her husband with other men, or like that man in particular.
Well, that's what I'm getting at is
Mhm.
the women are trying desperately to define emotional cheating as not cheating, because men, think about it from the feminist perspective. All women emotionally cheat, and they typically do it first, but not all men do. So there is a more to be gained for the women by doing this than there is for the men.
Look, even your ex-wife, she didn't start cheating physically right away.
No, it was months later.
See? This is where it begins. This kind of behavior is not okay, especially for married women.
Well, this points out um, a hidden contempt
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
because her husband is pandering or just a paycheck or whatever. In religious marriages, she pretends to be this holy, spiritual, great, the Madonna. And therefore, his attention and attraction to her isn't satisfying. She wants to be noticed sexually and have the attraction and attention of a man that doesn't put her on a pedestal. So she has to go elsewhere because the dynamics of her relationship with her husband, especially if they're religious, oh, yes, it's all, we pray together. We don't get naked that often. That's a special thing.
And she
That
wants
could
to
be
get
a sin.
naked. She wants to get naked with somebody else, not her husband who is praying with her. This is what
So
you're
she has
saying.
contempt for the attention from her husband. Therefore, she has to go get attention from some other man who she doesn't have contempt for. But
Yeah,
she's
notice,
not
guys,
overtly exposed her contempt towards him yet.
she has contempt for the man who prays with her. They should tell you something, especially Christian men.
Hey, I lived it.
Like, you prayed together with your wife, right? And then off she goes. It's not going to stop her.
Wait a minute, Nick. I thought all those preachers say the family that prays together stays together.
That's if she actually buys into your frame. If she doesn't buy into your frame and she's got the sisterhood calling you all sorts of crap, and just by breathing, you're labeled abusive. Yeah, you're sunk.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a guarantee. There is no hypergamy insurance.
Oh, you mean
Not hypergamy. I mean, I'm not criticizing you, Nick, but we throw out that term, hypergamy. I don't give a fuck about her hypergamy.
Mm-hmm.
What ends marriages is her rebellion.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and look, this
she's
design.
bound by her sinful desire.
Yeah.
She's not checked. It takes a village to hold a woman accountable.
It does. We use the term hypergamy insurance, but what we're really saying is there's no agency insurance. There's no insurance against another human being saying, fuck you, I'm out. There's no contempt insurance. You can do everything right. And I'll guarantee you that these guys in this video did everything right.
Yeah.
For as long as they could. They had jobs for as long as they could. Like, as men, we aren't in control of whether or not we get to keep our job. We're not. Mm-hmm. But to a woman, that doesn't matter. She doesn't care if we're in control or not. It's still our fault for losing it. There must be some reason why we lost our job and somebody else at that business kept theirs. In fact, business goes bankrupt. Everyone loses their job.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't work hard enough to keep your business running, and so some other business got to, they got to keep their jobs.
So are you saying, okay, guys, I have a question for you. Are you saying that those who promote hypogamy insurance, like men man up, do better, level up, and etc., they are buying into the female primary?
No. There's nothing wrong with a man improving himself.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. A man should do that.
But
yes.
without the restriction on your hypogamy.
No. The hypergamy insurance is believing that is going to stop her from leaving.
Who's the guy? He's like an act. No, he's a UFC fighter, muscle jacked, and
Randy Couture.
Oh man,
Randy fucking
Randy
Couture. It doesn't matter.
His wife still left
Sh-
him.
Yeah, exactly. She can still leave.
Right. Okay. Then, you know what? This belief would probably work if we were living in a patriarchal social order.
No,
No?
it would. There would just be less. It would reduce it.
Reduce it. Okay, I see. Okay, thank you. Yeah, because I was wondering. Mm-hmm.
And marriages would not just be merely based on you like this person, they like you. It's usually families involved. They keep women's activity in check, so there's not as many bonding issues in general, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. The social order worked better. But people still did. People were still sinners, and people still did rebel, both men and women.
Well, people always rebel. It's just on a broader spectrum. I think patriarchy is more stable.
That's
It is.
Yeah, that's
natural.
Well,
yeah.
The best you can hope for is to improve the situation. This belief that we can stamp out all instances and occurrences, very female, but and totally untrue, totally impractical.
In fact, what we see now is the females trying to stamp out all patriarchy, and actually society gets worse and worse and worse.
Exactly.
The more they can try to control, the more society is out of control.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets worse and worse. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think we beat that horse to death. We probably can keep going.
Okay. Yeah, let's keep watching.
And lacking ambition. He said she spent nearly 10 minutes listing his flaws in front of both parents without acknowledging any of his progress or strengths. He admitted feeling frustrated at that moment. He tried to talk to his wife, but the discussion quickly escalated into an argument. They could not reach an understanding and end up sleeping in separate rooms. The man explained that as someone with a more analytical mindset, he prefers to address problems directly. His approach is to find solutions instead of avoiding issues, with the goal of preventing similar arguments in the future. However, he believes that constant fighting can wear down even the strongest relationships over time. He said his wife sees things differently. To her, his silence means he is in the wrong. If he keeps pressing the issue, she finds it annoying. If he insists on discussing it further, she feels it is an attack on her self-esteem. She told her friends that whenever he starts explaining his reasoning, it makes her even angrier. Over time, she just developed such a strong reaction that just hearing him argue his point puts her in a bad mood. Some people told him that a home is not a place for debates. His wife strongly agrees. She believes that if he simply gives in to her more often and stops insisting on logical arguments, they would never have conflicts. He said he once tried this approach for a while, but it did not work. In the end, he could not keep it up, and they eventually got divorced. One commenter wrote, "Keep the house clean, learn to cook a little. Ordering takeout isn't just about spending 20 yuan, it's about effort. Pay attention to your wife's emotions. If she comes home to a cleaner space and thoughtful care from you, she'll be in a much better mood. Even if you're not
Be a
making
better
money,
beta.
she wouldn't be thinking about divorce."
Yeah, and look how they try to put all of the house chores on a man too. So in addition to making money and providing for the family, what do they say here? Be emotional supporter to her, cook, clean, basically fulfill all of the wifely duties that she's supposed to fulfill. You're supposed to do all of that. Did you notice it?
Yeah. Oh, I noticed it, but I also want to say something else here. China has a different work culture than the United States does. Okay. They work, and so we work, 5 8-hour days, and that's considered a full work day. In China, if you do not work 6 nines, 6 days, 9 hours a day, you will be fired. Jack Ma was famous for this. It is routine for a man in China to work 90 hours a week.
Wow.
And I want people to consider what that actually means. We work 40. these men work 240s plus another 10. Okay. To work a 90-hour week in 7 days, and they don't have like China doesn't have like a day off on Sunday like we do. You have to work a minimum of, I'm doing math in my head here. It's about 11 hours a day. Okay.
And that's the minimum.
90 hours is an average. Some do more, some do less. It fluctuates. But the point is okay, you're talking 11, 12, 13-hour days, and the guy has to go to an office and come back. Right. Many of them will actually sleep in their offices during the week. And then so they'll try to do like a bunch of 14-hour days, and then they'll go home on one day. And the guy is still supposed to do all this.
Yeah, clean, cook, and what is woman supposed to do there? Just spend the money and enjoy herself?
Yeah.
Damn.
It's not living.
When you look at the two countries, the difference between US and China, all of a sudden US women seem not to be all that bad. I mean, at least they work. But also the types of jobs that most women take, it's not helpful. Because they tend to take these easy specialties. They don't want to do the hard work that men do. I got into debate on Instagram actually a few times when I was saying that women going into the workforce shrink the man's salary. And then one of the girls was really defensive. And do you remember that
about
comment?
that on the group chat, right?
What, Nick? Sorry.
Yeah, you're talking about that. Was that the group chat? Or was that after the Wednesday night stream?
It was on Instagram. I left a comment somewhere where, under the lawyer's video, and there was one girl who responded that no, it's multi-factors. It's not as simple as women getting into the workforce. And do you remember that comment that she left for me, darling?
Yeah. Well, Elena, why do you keep bringing up these sophisticated concepts? How do you expect them to get it? The sophisticated concept was cause and effect.
Yes.
Man, how do you expect women to understand such sophisticated things?
I don't know.
Because Elena can.
Yeah.
She doesn't always, but she can. And so she assumes that other people can.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah, I know, right? All they are concerned about. And if you look at where they work, oh, they do nails, makeup industry, right? Beauty industry, fitness is a big one. Like all of these jobs. Content creator, social influencer. Nick, you were saying something, sorry.
Oh, I mean, they got to find a way to spend all his hard-earned money. So they invent all these industries.
Mm-hmm. Fashion.
For women to spend their man's money.
Yeah.
Not always to look good for their man, but to fit in with the sisterhood.
Oh, yes. Oh, there was another video that I shared with you guys in my Instagram stories. There was one lady, she was saying that we are dancing for inspiring and motivating others, for educating, not for our husbands. Nothing for the benefit.
Other women's husbands.
Yes.
Yeah, right. I know, right? For the sisterhood. And those could be married women who say that. Nothing for the benefit of the husband.
This is funny because women dress more provocatively before they're married.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're even more, sexually open before the marriage. Like they are trying to entice the man with physical attractiveness. Now, once they're married, nope, not doing that for him anymore. He's just viewing me as a sex object. Meanwhile,
Yeah, right. She
catch
wants to
him.
be.
She was displaying herself as a sex
Mhm.
object. And now, no. He's just evil because all he wants to do is view me like a sex object. And sometimes he even pesters me for sex. Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't
Hey,
want that.
meanwhile he's her personal ATM. She views
Yes,
him as his area.
it's a personal
Guys,
ATM while she's trying to entice other men on social media with these provocative sexual activities that she is doing there in semi-naked clothes. Yeah, right.
Well, that gets to what the sisterhood really wants. The
Mhm.
sisterhood wants men to pay for women to sell themselves to better men.
Damn. Yes, that makes sense.
they want to have their cake and eat it too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And don't you ever get in the sisterhood's way to accomplish their selfless angelic mission.
Of selling themselves to a different man.
I'm writing it down.
No,
I'm going to make.
You're gonna write another article.
I am going to write another article, guys, on Substack. Follow me there, and I'm going to make a shorter statement in my IG
I'll
stories.
believe it when I see it.
What, you mean the article?
Yeah, you said shorter. I said I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh, Nick, I did get better about shorter format articles. I don't write them very often, but yeah.
We've been working on lately on her edit. She has to put all the words, all the descriptive words. We've been working on
All
that
of the
one lately.
adjectives.
Yes.
I love adjectives, guys. Okay, yeah,
I'm gonna come to Elena's defense.
There we go.
Her writing has greatly improved because I said, yeah, you wrote 2,000 words here. Cut it down. TLDR, you got to get to the essence of it. People have a low attention span. And you know what? Her writing has greatly improved.
Yeah. Thanks to you guys for beating me up. Shorter articles. Straight to the point.
Hey guys, believe it or not, she's a woman. She has lots of words.
True.
I know, right?
I'm already improving here, guys. I'm already doing it. See? How long did it take to get there? Okay. Well, shall we keep watching?
Stop focusing only on your own growth. You're not single, you're part of a family. Another person commented, home is not a place for arguments, it's a place for love and kindness. If you can't do that, it's fine, unless you're wealthy enough to make up for it with material things. That way, at least your wife would have a reason to justify staying. But right now, you're unemployed. Before you can prove yourself, trying to argue with your wife will only make you look like a failure. And it's not just about your career, it also shows a lack of character. In that case, divorce is no surprise.
Okay, guys, hold on a second. Let me scroll back so we can see the text. Where is it? Yeah. I'll have to. Okay, hold on.
Trying to argue with your wife will only make you look like a failure. And it's not just about your career, it also shows a lack of character. In that case, divorce is no.
Okay. Well, they basically say that if a man isn't providing value or isn't making any money, then it's his problem. It's not that something has been wrong with the society, right? He lost job because a lot of people lost jobs, right? It's recession. No, it has to be his fault, and she she's doing nothing wrong by bitching,
Yeah,
by moaning, by nagging him.
in this video, they said, and another person writes, no, this is not just another person. This is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
A woman wrote this. It has all the fingerprints of a woman over it.
Yeah.
That basically you're not providing. It's supposed to be a place of peace, not arguments. Give in to her.
Mm-hmm. Love and kindness.
Pander
Yeah.
to her
Mhm.
feelings. And understand, you're not cutting it, buddy. But you know what? You got to listen to her feelings. And if you don't, start providing and agreeing with her, she's going to divorce you, which is all true, but it's backwards.
Yeah.
How about the woman stop arguing with her man?
Exactly.
What? Shocking. That's
Mhm.
just shocking.
Yeah. Stop nagging, stop bitching, moaning, and complaining. Yeah, they never. It's sad. They never call out female bad behavior. Whatever is wrong in our society, it's automatically man's fault. And if a man can't do anything, and there are certain situations where a man can't do anything,
Man bad.
yeah, he's still evil, right? He's still evil, and I'm surprised. And there are so many simps who think that way, like women do. You know, give in to your emotions, love and kindness bullshit.
Doesn't work. Makes things worse.
Yeah.
If you already
surprise.
think you have no balls, that'll just prove it.
Yeah.
Others pointed out that it is rare to find a man who can maintain emotional intelligence while going through career setbacks. They emphasize that in a
Here we
marriage,
go
both
again.
partners should support each other
Mhm.
through difficult times. A woman commented that Chinese men today face extreme pressure, and the challenges they endure are often beyond what many can imagine.
中国的男人已经养不起家了。
Chinese men can no longer afford to support their families. According to a survey by China Economy, out of over 1 billion people in this country, only 700,000 have a monthly salary above 20,000 yuan. There is an economic term called labor sharing ratio. In the US, one worker's income can support 4.8 people. In Germany, it's 6.8, but here we can barely support 1.1 people. That's why in Western countries, you see so many stay-at-home moms raising multiple kids, but in China, even raising one child is a struggle. This TikToker also shared a recent story about a woman in Jiangsu who bought a floral dress for 380 yuan. Her husband scolded her for being wasteful. Many criticize the husband for being stingy and unable to earn a good income. However, most Chinese men make less than 5,000 yuan a month. Data shows that over 90% of people do not even meet the 5,000 yuan tax threshold. With only a few thousand yuan in wages, many men still have to cover daily expenses, children's education, mortgage, and car loans. In most cases, their salaries are spent entirely, and some even end up in debt. Not only food delivery workers and couriers, but even construction workers, one of the toughest jobs, are struggling with low pay. High-paying industries such as IT have suffered major downturns in recent years. Many internet companies are cutting jobs and reducing salaries, with some even demanding long-time employees take a 50% pay cut. Last year, unemployed middle-aged workers filled Starbucks cafes. Now, even Starbucks is struggling and has started asking people to leave.
以前我们父母哈，
Well, guys, here she mentioned that a man scolded his wife for spending too much money. What is it called here?
Financial abuse? Is that what you're looking for?
Mm-hmm. Imagine that. Just because they can't afford, how many women can live on a budget? On a single family income, they all whine that they want this man who provides, who takes care of them, right? Who pays for all of the bills in the family. But
Well-
then their demands are not shrinking because of
Well,
that.
China has the same problem that the United States does. There's something interesting was very said was only out of 1 billion people, whether or not that number is true doesn't matter for this. Only 700,000 made more than 20,000 won a month. 20,000. So the exchange rate, to give context, is about 7.5 to 1 right now. So take that 20,000 a month and divide it by 7.5. And that's about what it would be in dollars.
So we're looking at what, 2,600 bucks
Yeah,
a month.
a month. The only 700,000 Chinese men make more than 20, we'll call it 2,500 bucks a month. 2,500 bucks a month in the United States buys you well, it depends on where you live, but if you live in the coastal states, it might buy you a studio apartment in terms of rent, and you'll be living on ramen as you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's the level that China's at right now. Now I understand their cost of living isn't the same as ours. And yes, there's a lot of leveling factors that have to go into this. The point that
$20,000 a month, that's a good salary. I think the U.S. equivalent would, okay, 20,000, that's 240,000 won a year. Standard living wise, that's probably the equivalent of like 140, 150,000, maybe 120,000.
roughly.
Or more. So, if you're making that much, that is quite high. And she's saying only this number of men make it. And that's what's required. Hello? Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you're delusional. It's like in the U.S. Well, he has to be 6 foot tall, make over $100,000, and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Okay, you're delusional. That's not typical.
The thing that I thought was interesting about this is, so 1% of 1 billion is 1 million. So let's just use the 1 billion number for the Chinese population. 0.07% of men in China make 700 this 20,000 won a month. Okay. Think about that for a second. 700,000, that 0.7. Does that 0.7% sound awful familiar to the number of men who, we have the what was that? The female delusion calculator, that Fresh and Fit, but with the, put in what you want in a guy and here's what the percentage is. And a lot of these women come back with 0.5%.
Yeah.
And what do all the women,
similar.
what do all the women say on Fresh and Fit? But I will get that guy. There's a chance, right? That's what
Mhm.
these women are saying here too.
Yeah. Well, they are out to lunch delusional. They don't want to live in reality, because then if they had to live in reality, they would have to realize that they can't afford that fancy dress that she wanted. They would have to live on a budget. They can't afford super fancy things, but they're so used to being able to work, and this is why a lot of them, they say, well, a man is supposed to provide for the family. It's impossible to live on a single family household. Yeah, it is impossible with the delusional
Well, no. You skipped over the coded language. A woman says a man's supposed to provide for the family. What's she actually saying?
He's supposed to provide for her and her delusional entitled demands.
She wanted, now look, you can make an argument about, well, could he have relented in the case of this one dress? Okay, whatever, guys. The point is that we are talking about, in China, the number of people who live below the Chinese poverty line, which they define as 5,000 won a month. That's their tax line, right? They don't charge tax below that. That's their poverty line. You're talking about most of Chinese society live on less than that. They said it right there in the video.
Structure, a tradesman in China probably doesn't make that much.
Mm-hmm.
But a tradesman in the US actually does pretty damn well. In fact, in a lot of cases, better than office workers. So things are not exactly the same over there. But nevertheless, if you're a tradesman in the US, women don't really give you, that's not good enough for her.
Mm-hmm. Well, because she is working, if she is strong and independent, she can afford the bare minimum for herself, and then she wants a man to afford even more things than she can afford for herself. From the female hypogamous standpoint, it makes sense. This is why I'm a little frustrated with the guys who say, well, just man up and do what she wants you to do, so that you are more attractive to her, you have the money, because like most of the stuff that she wants is going to be entitled and delusional, because she can already satisfy her basic needs by herself. She doesn't need a man. She just wants one. Because life, it would make your life fancy. It would make your life more comfortable.
No. Go back to the videos we did last week. Men are just they don't. It's not that they want men as accessories. You're kind of saying that they want men as these social media accessories. Yeah, there's some women like that, but that's actually not why most of them want them. Go back to the videos we did last week. What did they actually want? The women were complaining about how much work it was, how hard it was, and what they really wanted was a guy who they could relax and they could just be women with, right? They wanted a man, because last week we did videos also from China, but about marriage in China, right? And how there's no men to marry.
Yeah, but okay. If they want that man where they can relax with, it just like they want a cake and eat it too. They can't let go of their entitled programming that's sitting in their head, because they're strong and independent, right? They can provide bare minimum for themselves, but yet they want a man where they can feel like they're women. So when they find that man, they don't want to let go of their delusional entitled program that's sitting in their brain.
Yeah.
They want to.
That's women, okay.
Right, but it doesn't work. Like, I mean,
yes, it doesn't work. The women don't care. Like, I know that's the part you're struggling with. I know the women don't care. They don't care about the statistics. They don't care about the math. They don't care about anything resembling reality. Women want what they want. And that's just the way it is.
If they want to relax, they have to let go of their delusions and entitlement. Otherwise, it's not going to be possible.
That's for the world to teach them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay, that's logically correct. But what if she wants fried ice?
Well, we have fried ice cream, so that's about as close as we can get. So I guess I'll get her some fried ice cream.
Wow.
I'm just thinking there's probably a possible way to make fried ice.
Yes, there is, and I don't want to derail, but there's actually a cool physics effect with cold water that you can dip stuff in, and it doesn't immediately melt it. But yes, there is such thing as fried ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's keep watching, right? Oi, sorry, guys. Did I start?
think
Oh,
he
it's a
switched
different
videos.
video.
You need to click back because and
Okay,
itself,
sorry.
no
Where will we?
there you
Here.
go.
Somewhere in there.
1,000 yuan a month and could still raise 4 or 5 kids. Now, even with a monthly income of over 10,000 yuan, families are barely scraping by. On average, Chinese men earn 1,000 to 2,000 yuan more than women, yet their spending power is way lower. In fact, a man's personal spending is often less than what the family spends on their pets, cats, and dogs. A middle-aged man shares his thoughts.
就目前的环境来说，像咱们这种中年打工人，一旦失业了呀，大概会遵循2条90定律。
Given the current situation, for middle-aged workers like us, losing our jobs basically means following two 90% rules. The first 90% rule is that once we lose our jobs, 90% of us will never find another one in our field again. We'll be permanently unemployed and completely out of the workforce. Of course, when I say job, I mean a position related to our previous profession. If you're willing to drive for Didi, deliver food, or work as a security guard, these jobs are still available. The second 90% rule is that if a middle-aged worker like us is unemployed for more than a year, 90% of us will end up divorced. Just last year, 5 of my male friends lost their jobs and they all ended up being divorced. And honestly, lasting a whole year is already considered a long time. I have 2 friends who didn't even make it 6 months before their wives file for divorce. That's just how it is.
He described modern marriages as fragile and highly practical. While many couples can share good times, far fewer are willing to endure hardships together. With China's economy in a deep downturn and unemployment rising, finding a job has become increasingly difficult. On March 4th, at a small restaurant in Guangdong, the owner was eating inside when a young man in a black t-shirt walked in. Nervously, he asked, "Excuse me, are you hiring?" The owner replied, "No, we're not." The man persisted, saying, "I can do any job, anything at all." The owner told him they had already filled all positions. Disappointed, the man walked to the entrance and hesitated for a moment. Then he turned back, gathered his courage, and pleaded, "Can I at least work here for 2 days? I don't need any pay, just food. After 2 days, I'll leave." The owner looked up and asked, "Just food?" The man quickly responded, "Yes. Just 2 days of meals. That's all I need." The owner then walked towards the kitchen and asked, "Where are you from? How did you end up like this?" The man said he was from Hunan and had come to Guangdong to look for work. "I just can't find a job. I thought if I could work here for 2 days and get some food, I'd have the energy to keep looking." He admitted that he had not eaten in a day and a half. After hearing his story, the restaurant owner immediately went to the kitchen to prepare him a meal. The video of this encounter quickly went viral online. Many praised the kindness of the restaurant owner. Some expressed sympathy, with one person commenting, "He has nothing left, not even food. It's heartbreaking." Others pointed out this isn't even the worst case scenario. At least he is alone. If he's willing to work, he won't starve. The real crisis is for those with families or even entire households facing unemployment. That's truly terrifying. It would cost lives. The man in the video remained silent, but his despair was written in captions. "I'm part of the oldest group of workers born after the 80s. I've been unemployed for 3 months now." When asked what unemployment feels like, he compared it to falling into water and desperately trying to grab onto something, anything, for just one breath of air. He described it in 3 words: helplessness, fear, and despair. Some viewers expressed concerns for him. At over 40 years old, he likely carries heavy financial burdens. His expression suggested deep distress, and many hoped he would find a job and get through this difficult time. In another video, a woman shared her experience. She said her husband had been unemployed for 7 months, and during that time, her mother-in-law constantly belittled him. One day, as her husband was washing dishes, he broke down in tears. He told her, "The reason I've been asking you to spend more time with the kids lately is that I feel like I'm failing at everything. I don't want them to see me like this." Hearing this, she said, "I broke down in tears instantly, but to me and our kids, he's our superhero. He's incredibly smart. There's nothing he can't learn. This is just a rough patch, and I'll stand by him no matter what." One commenter reacted saying, "This man is actually very lucky. His mother-in-law is quite smart." By criticizing him first, she let his wife vent her frustrations while also triggering her sympathy for her husband. and his wife is truly remarkable for believing in him and standing by his side. Another case of an entire family facing unemployment soon followed.
我老公被裁员了。
My husband got laid off. Neither of us slept at all last night. Over the weekend, he was still telling me he'd be getting a bonus at the end of the month because his performance had been pretty good. But then yesterday, he went to work and got called in for a meeting with his boss. His company actually started laying people off last year. Out of 10 people in his department, only 6 were left. And now they're cutting even more. I'm currently a full-time homemaker, so our entire household depends on my husband's income. We have a 7,000 yuan mortgage, a 2,500 yuan car loan, and 2 kids in school. This sudden news completely caught us off guard. I can feel my husband's frustration and pressure. Everyone said that pandemic years were the hardest, but here we are in 2025 and it's still just as tough. I try to comfort him, saying that some things are just out of our control. Things will work out in the end. He told me the final layoff list hasn't been announced yet, but if he does lose his job, he'll spend the days job hunting and drive for Didi at night. At least we won't go hungry. Sigh. Life as an adult has never been easy, but no matter what, we'll push through this together. One commenter wrote, "The 3 signs of middle-class bankruptcy: buying a home at peak price, having a stay-at-home spouse, and enrolling kids in elite schools. Just one more to go." Some pointed out that many stay-at-home moms who started making videos on social media did so because their husbands were laid off. The pattern was becoming increasingly common. Others noted that while families with children face financial strains, they are often more stable. In contrast, young couples without kids may be at even greater risk. Against this backdrop of economic hardship, China's annual 2 sessions meeting recently opened. Discussions online introduced new terms related to unemployment. Returning to one's hometown to start a business was used to describe job loss, while those who remained in cities without work were labeled stranded individuals. Analysts have observed that this year's 2-session exposed deeper policy contradictions than in previous years. Some described it as the most chaotic 2 sessions in CCP history, arguing that China's economic outlook is worsening. The meetings revealed conflicting policies across multiple areas, with no clear solutions in sight. For instance, the government reports emphasize expanding domestic demand and boosting consumption through measures such as childcare subsidies, increased pension spending, and incentives to upgrade household appliances. These policies were aimed at encouraging consumer spending. At the same time,
So
Nick, what do you
basically, the Chinese economy is spiraling out of control. They're desperately looking for a solution. Meanwhile, well, a lot of the guys in the red pill will say, "Just man up, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Make that bank. Just man up. Make that bank." Oh, or just build your muscles. She'll stay.
Yeah, right.
No.
I think this video is based on information 2 weeks old. What's happened since? Oh, the whole tariff thing, and then China escalated. Reports from China now are the stuff they made is filling up the shelves of the factories. It's backing up. Orders have been closed. Factories are just absolutely, if you're in the clothing industry, is shut down. The layoffs that have happened in the last week are astounding. So if this was 2 weeks ago, things have got 10 times worse now. Holy shit. It's a disaster. Yeah. You just watch stuff out of China for the next month or so, and you'll see how bad it gets, how men and women are going to just be at odds. Yeah, when things get tough here, and we've had it good for so long,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to just be absolutely brutal. I want you to understand how bad things get and how conditions can change and how you can experience it here and probably will.
Yeah.
There's not going to be enough prisons to house all the people failing on child support and spousal support or alimony.
There's not going to be enough prisons to house the people who resort to violence to eat. because humans are animals. We still have animal programming in our brain stems. We still have to eat, right?
Yeah.
And people who are starved, they behave like animals, like hungry animals. Now, I'm not saying that I think the United States is going to get that bad. China made some pretty horrific economic choices. Like they overbuilt their housing supply by 300% or something ridiculous like that of the number of people that exist in China. And so, they're talk about peak prices, buying a house at peak prices. Yeah, that's a pretty stupid thing. We're going to have that same problem here. Yeah, we didn't overbuild like they did.
But we still overbuilt, right?
Well, we overbuilt for future demand. Okay. What's happened here is you had a bunch of millennials who bought at peak prices in 21, 22, right? And then those houses are going to lose a lot of value. They're going to go underwater on their mortgages as they lose jobs.
Already happening. It's already happening.
Yeah. So it's not like we're saying that, oh, this is some potential future. No, it's happening right now. It's just not happening at a broad enough scale in the country that the news is going to report on it so that that it's happening. But the other thing is I saw a chart of China's stock market run back like 15 years. They're down to where they were in 2008. Okay. Their economy, and their economy wasn't doing well long before this. If you're in finance, we've been following the Evergrande story in finance for over a year now. Evergrande is a big property developer. Okay. The warning signs on the Chinese economy have been here for months. And if you were paying attention to things like demographics, the warning signs have been there for years.
We warned them like a year ago.
Yeah, we did actually.
Yeah.
Well, was that our first stream where we talked about that? Is
why the collapse is happening now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was so. Again, if you were paying attention, none of this is shocking out of China. What you're seeing now is 1 year in, the women are starting to behave like women. Shocker. I know, right? But the Chinese women, Asian women, Eastern European women, all women have the same view that when times get tough, they need to leave the one they're with because they can go find a better man.
Yeah, good luck with that.
What's happened in Ukraine?
Oh, yeah.
Men went to war. They sent their women, a lot of men who could afford, sent them to other parts of Europe so they could survive and do, have a good life. What did the women who were sent there do? Found other men.
Yep. No, it's true.
Well,
it's rampant.
Yeah. Did you see the video that I recently shared from my dad? It's a sad video, but it's true. It's happening. A lot of soldiers, they've been killed, right, in both countries. And then women are building these insane business plans. Like they get engaged with one man who is serving in the army. Then he goes to serve, he gets killed, and then she gets 8 million rubles.
And then she buys a house.
She buys a house, she can rent it, whatever, and then she finds another man. And this is like a scheme. It's an ongoing plan for them.
So I told Elena this was happening probably a year ago. And I think it was a little more abstract for her because she didn't have any direct evidence from her own people, but she finally got some. Like, we get news from the other side of the wall. It's true. People send us stuff. And the men over there in Russia have started to figure out that's what these women are doing. Is there was this picture I saw in Russia. They would marry men and women in group ceremonies. So they'd bring in 20 or 30 couples. The pastor, whatever you want to call him, the priest would solemnize all of these marriages at the same time, and it's 100% army bros, army dudes. Okay.
Oh man.
Yeah. And then the government, the death benefit for a soldier who is listed as killed in action is 8 million rubles. The other thing that the statistic leaves out is that the government only acknowledges about 10% of deaths as deaths. So, and you know, women mislead other women. There was this little side note that it was 2 women on a podcast discussing the strategy. What these women didn't discuss is that the government doesn't disclose 90% of deaths. They're just listed as missing in action.
Well, but then what they are suggesting, the scheme makes total sense. Then if it didn't work out with one man, you go marry another man, and then chances are you will get paid your 8 million rubles.
Right. Well, that's just it. What they didn't. So these women were holding out this idea that you could just make these millions of rubles. Well, there's a 90% chance that you won't. So you're going to have to do this more than once to increase your odds. But women never say, oh, the government doesn't pay out at a very high percentage. Okay. That women will creatively lie to other women. Okay. And this is what the Longhouse does. The Longhouse tells these women that all they have to do, marry a dude in the military, and they're going to get their 8 million when he dies. I have heard stories and read stories of women in Russia actually praying that their guy dies so that they can make the rubles. This is a supposedly Christian country, by the way. Okay. And they go to church and they pray that their man dies in service to the nation, and yeah, they make their rubles, and then they get very, very angry when they find out that they're not going to get paid. So, okay, we've been talking China, we've been talking, similar shit happening in Russia. Okay. Women are women everywhere. They don't stop being women. And I think a lot of men are waking up to this. I mean, in China, there's been a huge awakening of men, and you can see it in some of these videos. But even then, men do what men do. We want to take care of our family. We want to take care of the woman. We're programmed that way. And I think the women have gotten a little too far gone that the men are starting to go, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. But it's going to get worse, guys. It's going to get worse. China is dying. It's dying fairly rapidly. Europe is dying.
War might be a good option for them to offset some of the cost and give money to families. Interesting.
Right? Yeah. There's a non-zero chance that they start a war for the purpose of diverting attention away from, well, YouTube videos like the one on the screen right now.
Also to militarize your economy, so they produce things for the war and keep people employed and stuff like that.
That's what has happened in Russia. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me do a thought experiment here. Let's say you have a downturn in the economy. You have a lot of unemployed women, or a lot of unemployed men. Yeah, unemployed women too. You need to do something with these men because it's not working out well. And the women don't want these men because they're unemployed. So let's go to war. We have a surplus of men.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of them get killed. Now, the women who are in short supply have this Madonna or princess mentality. No man is good enough. All of a sudden, over the course of 2 years, now you have a scarcity of men. So whichever men come back, could the women be desperate and all of a sudden, oh, they're willing to be wives, and the men have been seen war, and now they might take a stronger stance towards the women. Could you somehow solve some of your problems by going to war?
Well, only if you win.
True enough.
So that's I'm not saying that this won't happen. I'm saying that's the gamble. That's the risk, right? Okay. You have to win. And winning in the definition of war is not only do you win the fight, but you have to win the fight while keeping while keeping your economy intact and keeping the ability
Pyrrhic victory won't help. So they don't need a Pyrrhic victory, basically.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So, it's like, oh, well, yeah, okay, China invades Taiwan and takes it. Well, that's a victory, but if it does so at the cost of getting all of their oil exports cut off, they won 10 cents in the lottery. Okay? Because they're still not going to have food, they're still not going to have energy. Their economy is still going to just get worse and worse, even if they've solved the demographic imbalance. They'll actually just kind of end up right where they are right now because they won't have the energy and food, and people will just keep dying.
Oh, they'll just import the oil from Russia.
That would take another war. And a bigger one.
Why?
Well, Russia has nukes.
Not true.
If you don't have the money, you can't buy the oil from Russia. Yes, Russia has oil. You got some pipelines coming from Russia. Yeah, they're pretty big pipelines.
They're not that big.
Not enough. It's not enough. And you got to pay for it. So right now, yeah, China gets a bunch of oil from Russia, but they also get isn't that the majority of the output from
Iran,
the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Iran? I mean, a sizable amount from Saudi Arabia, pretty much all of it from Iran, right?
Correct. Yes.
Do they have better prices also?
Yeah, Iran does, because it's sanctions and competition out of the region. Remember, the Saudis and Iranians hate each other.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia is the second largest crude supplier to China after Russia, apparently, according to AI.
Well, okay. I was talking. So I do believe most of Iran's output goes to China, but Iran doesn't produce as much as Saudi Arabia does. So nominal, yes. China soaks up an enormous amount of oil.
Needs so damn much oil that they're taking a large percentage out of the Middle East and a sizable portion from Russia. Russia cannot supply enough oil to China to keep it going.
That's correct. Even if China were to, as we suggested a few episodes ago on our channel, even if China were to directly invade Russia and take over Siberia, there's a lot up there. It's very technically challenging to get. You need Western tech, which China would not have access to. But even then, it's not enough. it is hard to describe just how much this takes. You know, we list it in barrels of oil. Well, a barrel is 55 gallons, and the amount of oil you can stick on a tanker is what, hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil, right? And that's a one tanker is a trivial fraction of how much it takes.
And okay, you say China doesn't have the expertise. No shit. China doesn't have any oil. They don't have any exploration expertise. It's not like the US where, you know, we know how to drill oil. We know how to frack. We develop new technologies, and our experts go around the world finding oil and developing it. China has zero experience, close to zero, in the oil exploration and development business. It's just not their area.
For oil. They do drill for oil.
Yeah, they can do the 1950s version of it.
Yeah.
The high level 3D sonar mapping that we do. They can't.
Seismic and all that.
Yeah. They don't have the tech to do it. They have to import that from us. Like, we know that there's a ton of oil under. There's that mountain chain in the south. I forget what it's called. We know that there's a ton of shale under there. Okay.
And they got a bunch in the northwest too. Yeah.
Right. We know that because we used our tech to find it. But even U.S. oil tech is not good enough to extract that oil. Like,
is it as bad as oil sands up in Alberta?
It's like oil sands, but it's in some of the most rugged mountainous terrain in the world.
Oh, that's brutal. The only reason they can do it in Alberta is it's flat land, easy to dig out and process. And even then, it's unbelievably expensive.
Yep.
It's okay. In order to extract
you have to have the infrastructure for it too.
Yes.
Yeah. And what else do you need, Nick?
You have to have the infrastructure in place. You have to have qualified people, experienced people know how to do it.
Right? That's not enough. That's not what I'm getting at.
What are you looking for?
Huge amounts of natural gas. Because, okay, Canadian oil sands, you take this sand, oil-coated sand, and you put it in a big pot along with a bunch of hot water, which takes natural gas to heat it up. And then it's this nasty, sticky, thick, yucky oil. But you got to heat it up, and then it floats to the top of the water. And then you pull it off, and it's still so nasty, thick, that you have to partially refine it to put it in a pipeline and pump it elsewhere. It takes the amount of energy it takes to make that oil sands into oil is astounding. And it's nasty, dirty, polluting. China doesn't care about that.
Yeah, you're right.
you need a lot of natural gas to burn to cook that stuff.
Hey Steve, did you just
usually oil, when you are drilling for oil, it's usually part natural gas, part oil. The ratios in China, I don't know. So that'd be a factor.
Right. Well, yeah. So what's under the mountains down there, I think, is actually mostly natural gas, according to the maps I've seen. There with some tar sands in there because it's mountainous. But Steve, what you're really saying, and this is the key point, it takes energy to make energy.
Absolutely.
And China imports 80% of its energy needs. 80%.
And there's been a lot of study done on this. There's this thing called EROI, energy returned on invested. So the US, well, back the 20s to 30s, I think our EROI was 30 to 70. It was pretty damn high. You'd poke a hole in the ground in Texas, and up comes a bubbling crude. Didn't take a lot to poke that hole and get the oil out. It just gushed out. So you got a lot for what you put into it.
Yeah, that was early
Then we
20th
depleted.
century.
Yeah, we depleted those. Then
Spindle top and all that. Yep.
Yeah, it gets harder to. Well, you still know where the oil is, but it's harder to extract. So now you poke a hole. It doesn't come gushing up. You got to pump it. Oh, and then that becomes more difficult. So then what do? Oh, we'll inject some other holes in the ground around the area. We will pump water in the ground way down deep, and then the oil will float, and then we can pump it out over here. Or we'll do steam injection. Okay, we did all that shit. It's still not enough. Oh, okay. Now we'll go to fracking. Yes, these are the oil doesn't pool. So we got to drill down. Then we got to do a lateral out for 2 miles, 3 miles. And then what we do is we send a line down there with explosives. And we frack it. We blow it up, and it blows fractions of, fissures into the rock.
Oh, Steve, got to correct you here a little bit. It's not explosives. It's just pressurized water and sand.
Okay, but you know what kind of sand is required?
Fairly high quality sand.
It's not normal sand.
Yeah.
Because normal sand has jagged edges. You need round sand.
Round.
Yep.
And so there's a place in Wisconsin that has round particle sand. They made a huge amount of money mining this sand, putting it in rail cars, shipping it out to North Dakota, and probably Texas too. But the sand, the round particles of sand would flow into the fissures and would keep the fissures open so the oil could flow back. But, okay, imagine the amount of energy it takes to do this. It's huge. So your EROI, energy returned on invested, starts to decline. It's below 10. Maybe you're at 7 or 5. And some speculate, I don't know, there's some truth to it, but you cannot really sustain a society and grow your economy when the EROI falls too low. You just have to put too much in for what you get out. And so you can't sustain yourself. So you can't bring this back to our topic today. China is in deep shit with their energy situation. Yeah. So their economy is more fragile than ours. Their economy is failing. It will continue to fail. They're going to have a much tougher time. As they have a tougher time, the relations between men and women are going to get absolutely brutal and ugly over there. And so sometimes it's easier to see how things are going to get here when someone else experiences it first and at a worse level. We're not going to get as bad as them. But pay attention to what's happening over there, because you're going to see some aspects of that here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, shall we finish the video, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
The report stated that household income growth should align with economic growth. However, data from 2024 showed that consumer prices rose by just 0.2%, reflecting ongoing deflationary pressure in the economy. Consumer spending is not only tied to income, it is also driven by expectations. In 2023, China's youth unemployment rate surged to 21% before the government stopped publishing data. Despite this, pressure in the job market remains high. When people lack confidence in future earnings, they choose to save rather than spend, even if they have money. This lack of demand has become one of the key issues facing the Chinese economy. In this environment, whether increased government borrowing and fiscal stimulus can truly drive consumption, or whether the money will simply remain in the banking system, covering bad debts, remain uncertain. Overall, this year's two-session highlighted the gap between policy goals and implementation, underscoring the economic and geopolitical pressures China currently faces. The end result appears to be a growing sense of policy confusion under the CCP's centralized decision-making system. However, the most widely discussed movement came when Chinese Premier Li Qiang announced in his government work report that the minimum basic pension for urban and rural residents would increase by just 20 yuan, less than $3. The announcement quickly sparked debate. One commenter wrote, raising pensions by just 20 yuan, less than $3, and they still dare to say this out loud? This is from a country that claims to have the world's second largest economy. It just goes to show how bad China's economy really is. Hopefully, we're not misunderstanding this. Maybe it's the CCP's idea of dark humor to boost consumer confidence.
Okay. I want to point something out here. They're talking about, what causes, consumer confidence and we need to grow consumer spending at home and all of that. Note how they very carefully do not talk about the demographics. There is this belief that has taken over the world since the end of World War II that economics supersedes demographics. That you can use economics to paper over your demographic problems. Up until 1945, this was not true at any time in human history. And anybody in the economics profession who spouted that as an idea would be laughed out of their position in their, either as a student or professor. This is a new idea that we can just completely ignore demographics. And the reason we've been able to ignore demographics is the United States Navy threw a security blanket over all the world's oceans. We patrol every one of them. Well, love him or hate him, agree with him or not, that policy is over. What the tariff thing is telling the world is that the United States is going to get selective about whose economy it's willing to protect. And we've already said that China's not on the list. Okay.
Well, there's one other reason economics prevailed over demographics for the past 50 years. You brought all the women into the workforce. You doubled your workforce.
Yep.
Well, almost. Cut wages, lowered the supply or increased the supply of labor, which lowers the cost of labor.
Correct.
So wages came down. So, economics did prevail over demographics.
Yep.
Now we are at a tipping point where it will no longer be true in the future, just like for the vast majority of history. Really, with the exception of the past 50 years, demographics always was more important than economics.
Well, Steve, in the news recently, so Hungary, the country, is famous for their lavish spending on fertility. Some of the most expansive fertility programs in the world. A woman can get 80,000 euros for just having a kid. And that's per kid, up to 4 kids. Do the math on that. Hundreds of thousands. It's 32 or 320,000 euros in support for having 4 kids. Their TFR, their total fertility rate went from 1.5 last year to 1.4.
All of that effort.
damn
of
near
that
half a
money.
million
So,
euro to buy
the
a
women-
decline.
Are the women not choosing to have the kids, or are the men not choosing to impregnate the women?
Whole lot of the latter, but there's a phenomenon here because Hungary did have a bump for a few years. They were actually able to get it go up. They peaked at about 1.6 in 2022. Okay. What I think we forget with economic incentives is that they are just that, economic incentives. Okay. All the people who could take advantage of it did. And now
Maybe they need to develop a whole new public service corps of fertility police.
yeah, the Chinese will tell you how well that is working.
Yeah.
But there is this idea that all we have, and we are starting to see this show up in the United States right now. Oh, all we have to do is provide tax incentives to women, and that will solve the fertility problem.
Stop pandering to women.
Yes, Nick, exactly. No, it won't, because the problem isn't economic. I get into fights with people on Twitter all the time over this.
Feminism has always been the dry rot of civilization. It will destroy everything. There's other factors involved, but that's the rooted philosophy, whether through Marxist thoughts and all sorts of thoughts, but feminism is in there.
Right.
Feminism is really Marxism brought to the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it's like, I don't really care what economic package you throw at women to have more kids. If the men don't show up, it doesn't matter. And the women, or here's and we've talked about this before. Okay, you get an explosion of single mommies.
Yes.
Oh boy, what does that mean? You're going to get an explosion in the prison population.
Yes.
Okay, congratulations. You've produced more non-productive human beings that are now a net drain on the system. You've made your economic problem worse.
Mm-hmm.
Economics cannot solve this problem. And I will take that to my fucking grave. You need to solve a problem that has demographic roots. You need to solve a problem that has legislative roots, policy roots. You know, in fact, economics is probably 4th or 5th on my list of things that you need to solve the baby problem.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, this is happening now. It will accelerate in any kind of recession. We say women are irrational. Sometimes we say they're erratic. Women are going to become absolutely hysterical on a greater and greater degree. I mean, the number is just going to explode. And then they're going to complain to the government. Then there's going to be, we need to do something to help out the women, which is going to feed their delusions.
Yes.
It's not going to change them being hysterical. And the men are going to avoid the women even more because they're fucking nuts.
Steve, do you know what else? Do you know what else men are going to do? Because how are they going to pay for this? Well, they're going to have to increase taxes. So do you know what men are going to do? They're going to stop working.
Mm-hmm.
Or my personal favorite is go work a burger flipping job. You know, we were talking about the $15 an hour job. It's just enough to get yourself a studio apartment and a mattress on the floor, and you can put your PlayStation 5 and, you know, you prop up the TV on a plastic crate, and you've got your plastic deck chair, and that's all you need. A woman will not live like that. A man can be quite comfortable with that.
What a wonderful existence. Because you know what? What does that guy have that married men don't have? Peace.
Peace.
Freedom, peace.
Peace.
Yeah. That a man has no encumbrances on him. He doesn't have a woman nagging him to make more money.
Mhm.
He can choose to do whatever he wants within reason. He's not making a lot of money, but he can choose how to spend his time how he wants to spend it. If he wants to play video
And
games,
he's still way better off, because in that Chinese video,
Okay,
there's less money spent on the man than on the dog. Well,
Yeah.
damn.
Okay,
If he's
I have
living
a
on his
question.
own, he can spend more on himself under those circumstances than he can
Yep.
if he was married.
and a man making 25, 30,000 a year pays very little in taxes. Very, very little.
I have a question for you guys. So the guys who are not married, okay, they will try to tax them. They'll get the cheap jobs that pay them very little, like the bare minimum, so that they can afford food, right? They don't have to take care of women. What about the married men who are already married? Will they try to impose more taxes on those who are married to support all of the single mommies out there?
Yes, and this is already true of our tax code, so it's not hard for them to change this. They just won't raise the taxes on married people as much, because they want people to get married, particularly the tradcons in power right now want
Mhm.
people to get married. So I don't expect taxes on married people to go up that much.
Do you want them to get a slave contract?
Yes. So they will economically incentivize that to the extent they can afford to. But this idea that women have, that government is just going to take stuff and give it to them, works so long as there's people who are giving the government
At
stuff.
the expense of married people. So what's the incentive? I repeat my question. So far, no woman has responded to that question. Ladies, if you're watching, I'm asking you again. Why should men marry you? What's the incentive for men to get married? So that then once they marry, the government will extract more taxes from them, so that it can provide for all of the single mommies out there.
Well, it's
No,
simple.
and then to make him also, chances are the more men get married, the more men get divorced and are made
Yep.
into slaves of the state.
Oh, true.
See, all these single men working these low-end jobs, they don't have a table. So if they marry a woman, what does she bring
The
to the
table.
table?
She's the
She
table.
doesn't bring anything to the table. She is the table. And now they got a table.
Yeah.
Steve.
So such a useful tool to have, I guess, in our modern day and age.
He still has to buy the chairs, though.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Now there is no, the women think that they know what the economic future is going to be. That's in China. That's why they are getting divorced. It's the same lie that women tell themselves here. I will get divorced, I will get a job, and I will find a man.
Mhm.
A better man than this one, because this one has proven to be useless.
So, in spite of all the leftover women, 35 plus, 30 years old plus, who can't find men, and have been complaining about that at an ever increasing rate, somehow the married women still think, I'm going to get divorced and go out there and find a better man. What kind of delusion is going on in your head?
Female delusion. That's female delusion
I dealt with
calculator.
a lot of it this week.
And guys, the delusions, this is to the men. The delusions are going to get worse. not
Mm.
better. As we go down
You would
this rabbit
think,
hole.
you would think, okay, like logically, okay,
No,
we are headed
knock it off with the
into,
logic. Knock it
we are
off.
headed into bad times.
No,
Women,
knock
like,
it off.
Nope.
That ain't how this works. The delusion
Well,
gets worse.
yes, it does. But there is female logic. Ooh, I have to pretend to
FSL?
be the good one.
Oh, yes, yes.
So I'm
my
gonna
God.
put on a trad wife dress
Uh-huh.
and put myself out there.
Mhm.
I'm gonna reinvent myself. I'm gonna find Jesus. I'm gonna tell my testimony about how I used to be a sex worker and now Jesus loves
I
me.
transformed, yes.
By the way, that's a form of increasing delusion. I'm just saying. If you have to completely reinvent yourself and try to convince the world that it was actually a good thing that you were a whore before because that gave you this opportunity to see the light, yeah, that's delusion. The delusions are going to get worse. They're going to get more prevalent, but they're going to get sneakier.
Yes, that's what I wanted men to know, that women will always come up with sneakier and sneakier ways, especially as we see now. There are definitely, as a red pill went mainstream, I see definitely more women criticizing other women, shaming other women. And look, maybe it's something that our society needs, because it takes a village to restrain a woman, right? But I also think that because of that, hold on, Nick, hold your thought. Because of that, women are going to get sneakier because of how many women start criticizing them, you know? They'll start masking, they'll start hiding.
Here's an example of female delusion when I was out with my friend last night. We're sitting there drinking a beer, watching the Astros game. This girl, she's probably like, I don't know, but 30, I guess. But sitting down, having a beer, and she starts her spiel and how, I used to be this terrible person. I found Jesus, and I used to be a stripper. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Starts touching me, and I'm like, like irritated, right? Single mommy, right? And she's married, right? She's married, but she found Jesus, yet she's not happy. So what is she doing at that moment? She's already trying to monkey branch me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
Trolling, advertising.
She's trying to get with me. I'm like, leave me alone. But it's the delusion, right? They find their Jesus, and then, he forgives all the past. Now I'm so super good, but meanwhile I have a ring on my finger, and I'm trying to monkey branch to the guy sitting next to me.
I suspect, guys, you know
But
what
Jesus, Nick, Jesus wants her to be happy.
Yeah. I suspect that they are going to even go to the extent of removing their social media account, their previous social media account that gave them clout, and create a new one, so that nobody would find the roots of where they were before. And
we're a long way from that.
Then they would. I just predict it's for the future, guys. Just watch out that kind of behavior.
It's coming.
They will create completely brand new accounts where they have a different amplitude, different mask. And you guys did the show on the mask she wears that I highly recommend everyone to watch. And we are going to see that kind of behavior where they completely eliminate what was happened to them before. Now they're kind of proud of it because everyone is like, oh yes, let's celebrate Hodam, right? So, and their transformation into being a wife material in their mind. They are doing it now, but then eventually when people get fed up with the promiscuity, let's say, and as we get more women criticizing other women, we will see that women will start completely removing their prior accounts, creating brand new ones, and so that nobody would know their past. They will just hide their past. This is what I predict.
Yeah. Same
But
same
Jesus
shit,
loves
different
them.
day. Jesus loves them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of what we're out here doing with why we do these shows is to educate men, not just on what women are doing right now, but playing it forward
Yeah.
and saying, guys, here, watch out for these things that are coming. Female delusion knows no boundary or limit. The universe cannot contain female delusion. So, it's hard for men to think that way, because you kind of have to think in this unbounded, well, is she delusional in about anything? I mean, listen to these women, these past 2 shows that we've done dealing with Chinese women. You have women who's are killing their marriages over economic hardship. And then the week before, we do this one where you have women who can't find husbands. Well, they're actually related, but the delusion is of one side is, well, I'm going to go find another man, and then the delusion on the other side is, I like all these men exist. Why can't I find the one that I want? Well,
The Scooby-Doo mystery.
right, because less than 1% of any country's population is going to be the men that women want. And okay, I'm going to address this too. There's this belief out there amongst women and men that we can solve this problem with polygyny. I don't know how many men want to take care of 100 women.
Yeah, it's going to be like thousands of
Can
them.
you imagine how many Elenas you'd have to put up with?
Fuck that.
Well, even
Thank you,
that
Dylan.
aside,
Oh, that's yes, darling. I agree with Nick 100% in this case. I don't want any of these bitches close.
it's hard to afford one woman.
Oh
Yeah,
God, yes.
I 100% agree with
How
you
the
guys.
hell are you going to afford even 2? I mean, really? If only 1% of the men make enough money for one woman, what percentage of the men are going to make enough money to afford 2 women?
Especially if they have children with this women.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
so all these women think that they're going to share a top 1%er with 100 other women, but it's not okay if he cheats. Like the female thinking isn't thinking; it's wish casting.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, that kind of works now. Okay, let's say he's a single guy. He has one main woman, and then a woman on the side, and then a couple
Plates.
Yeah, plates. Okay, that works. And she's willing to do that because she's supporting herself. He's not really supporting, maybe he's kind of supporting one of those women, but certainly not more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always worked historically where, in general, a man would have a wife, and if he was wealthy, he could have a mistress. And yeah, he financially supported the mistress. But then, again, this is the rare man who can do this. The only way an average man can have multiple women, and multiple women will still stay with that man, she'd rather support herself financially and get some of this top man's attention, even if she's not getting the provision. So once women cannot support themselves, this whole spinning plates thing breaks down.
Absolutely. It's predicated on women being able to support themselves, specifically financially, where they don't need the man, and so that they can get attention. However, I think there's also going to be another thing that happens, because this happened during the Great Depression. A lot of the top men go broke.
Mm-hmm.
So consider, Elon Musk, he's worth hundreds of billions of dollars, yet none of that's cash. If he wants
That's
that,
his king.
Well, yeah, if he wants that money, he has to do one of two things. He can either get a loan from a bank and put up stocks as collateral, or he can sell the stocks. He's got two ways of doing it. But that's it. Okay, well, if he does a bunch of loans, then when the economy comes and his businesses lose value, well, the stocks were the collateral in the loans. He either has to post more collateral, post more stock, which he may or may not be able to do, or he defaults. Oh boy.
Plutarch, what's this thing called the greater fool theory?
A core piece of trading that I and the boomers bought into this with the housing market. Basically, it's this idea that I can buy something, hold on to it, it will appreciate value, and I will sell it to the greater fool before the price collapses.
Oh, is it like
I
housing
might have been a fool
market?
for buying that for too much money, but I'm really smart if I can sell it to a greater fool.
Correct.
Get my
Yeah.
money out.
Well,
Yep.
it sounds like housing market.
Oh, housing market's been a greater fool market for
Mhm.
about 30 years now, at
Yeah,
least.
that's
What happens
It's already starting to.
when there is no greater fool?
Mm.
Oh, well, greater fool, we actually have a term for that. It's a Ponzi scheme. And eventually you run out of greater fools. Or a pyramid marketing scheme is another way to think of it.
Mm.
Right? I think somebody actually did the math, and for a pyramid marketing scheme, you can only get 7 levels. There's a hard limit on the levels. Why? Because of the way pyramid marketing works, it's an exponential thing. 7 levels gets you to the entire population of the earth. Eventually you literally run out of people to sell your greater fool purchase to.
Hmm.
And we're going to see that with housing in this country. As self-deportations increase, as boomers die, and they are dying right now.
They are.
You know what dead people don't need? They don't need a house.
There's a lot of boomers.
There's a lot of them.
They will start selling all at once.
Yeah.
They're already doing it. They're
Yes.
doing it right now.
How's Texas looking, Nick?
Oh, a lot of boomers are selling.
Seeing some for sale signs out there on the lawns?
And a lot of the millennials are getting foreclosed on when they bought at the greater
Oh.
full price.
Yes.
The only reason that the housing market has not collapsed is because when a house gets foreclosed on, the bank takes ownership of that. And they're kind of, I don't know if it's a gentleman's agreement among all the banks or the holders of this. They don't immediately put that property on the market because they don't want to overwhelm the market. So they'll actually sit on the house to not bring it to market.
Correct.
And they certainly, if they do bring it to market, they're not going to discount the price enough to sell it because they realize if enough of these do it, and if you're the guy who lowers the price first, it's going to cascade on you. And then you're going to get more foreclosures, and then you're going to be sitting on those, and then the value of those goes down. So even if you're the first guy to sell, you're fucked because you got more coming in, and then you're going to take a bath on every one of them. So there's a calculated game of sitting on foreclosed houses, or, oh, I'll tell you what, you haven't made a payment for 6 months? How about we refinance your loan? Yeah, you owe us 20 grand. I tell you what, we'll refinance that. We'll tack that 20 grand on the end of your loan. We'll bring you current, and you can start making your payments again. Oh, okay, great. So they do the deal. Funny thing, 2-3 months later, people are behind on their mortgage payment again. So you kick the can down the road. There's a whole bunch of this kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
to
And it's
pretend.
interesting.
Extend and pretend.
I remember I was taking a real estate course. I actually completed it, but I didn't take the exam to get a license because there is no way I would be able to sell houses to people. Look, they were telling us that you can't refinance for a smaller house. It has to be a bigger, better house, more expensive house. So it can't be just any house that you could refinance for.
That's just silliness. But no, you can sell your house and buy a smaller one. They just don't want you to. What the interesting thing about what Steve was talking about, though, is you can extend and pretend until what's going to end up happening is some bank that's holding these toxic assets, and that's the actual technical term, is going to be forced to sell. They're going to be forced to fire sale it. So if you guys remember The Big Short, Michael Burry, he's like, oh, these loans are going to default, here. And it was like spring of 2007. And if you remember, the actual crash didn't happen until a year later. The thing he missed was exactly what Steve was talking about. There was this kind of gentleman's agreement that the banks would take these on and not sell them. So one of the things that I've been tracking on Twitter recently is people have figured out that we're actually doing that same game right now, but we're doing it with the FHA, not with the banks are doing it too, but I've seen estimates ranging from anywhere to 5 to 9 million homes are being held by the FHA in conservatorship. So these are homes where the payments aren't being made, or they're not being made to a sufficient level to bring current, but the government is saying, yeah. So the FHA itself does not issue loans. They issue guarantees to banks. So the government's going to the banks and saying, don't market these homes. Don't kick the people out of these homes. Don't do anything with them. We will put them into, we'll force you to put them into conservatorship. And then these toxic assets are held on the balance sheets, and it makes everything look like it's okay. Well, I can tell you right now, 5 to 9 million, I'll split the difference, call it 7. There are not 7 million rich millennials just waiting to buy these houses. Mm-hmm. When they come on the market because either Trump says, nope, the federal government isn't providing housing security, or the bank folds under it's a collateral ratio that they have to have. And if they can no longer support that, then those houses go on the market all at the same time or within a few months of each other. Well, there's nobody to absorb 7 million housing units. There's just nobody. And that'll drive prices down. Guys, if you want something to watch the 10-year note. When the 10-year note rate starts collapsing, that's when you see that's a bank blowing up. Because what's happening is everyone's scrambling for 10-year notes as collateral. One of these days, I should do a show that explains how this works. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, if you guys want to learn, go watch Jeff Snyder's videos from Eurodollar University.
Okay, why does the rate collapse? Because the more you spend on buying that bond, the less the interest rate goes up. Mm-hmm. The bond goes up in value, the interest rate comes down.
Correct.
So when there's a huge demand to park your money in the safe asset of a 10-year,
yep,
people will be bidding up the price. When the price of the bond goes up, the interest rate comes down. Now, I know if you're not don't have a financial mind, this is kind of hard to understand. So I'm going to say it again. When the price of the bond goes up, the interest rate comes down.
Yep, that's exactly it. And everyone thinks, oh, wouldn't they be selling the bonds? No, because they have to maintain a collateral ratio. They don't have to have a one-to-one bond house mortgage debt. Okay. So they might be able to, let's say you bought your house for $500,000 and bonds sell it in $100,000 units. In good times, they might be able to take $100,000 bond and post that as collateral on your $500,000 mortgage. But in times of stress, collateral requirements go up. And so now the bank has to bid for more bonds to collateralize its books. The bond, in theory, is collateral that they could sell in the open market to cover the losses on the sale of the house. That's the theory. That's the theory behind quantitative easing and all that. It's the money system doesn't work how you think it works, and it's very few. Nobody knows how it all works. Go watch Jeff Snyder.
I'll guarantee you that. I don't understand how it all works.
Yeah.
If you want to understand how the
Blew my
bond
mind.
and plumbing side works, go watch Jeff Snyder's videos. He's spent decades researching that. He can be a little bit of a it's very solid information, but he can be a bit of an alarmist. So, but it's stuff like that. Like people say, oh, it's like, well, wouldn't it go the other way? No. They actually have to go buy the safest asset. Like right now, a bank could technically post their holdings in a housing ETF as collateral on your mortgage. But they can't do that when the value of that collateral falls. So they go for the safe stuff. The system is wild, guys. And I could go on and on for hours, but we won't do that.
Yeah,
today.
we've been long here, guys. You could probably talk about it on your channel. That would be interesting.
Yeah, we don't need to bore her viewers with dry financial content.
Yeah, it was an interesting discussion today, guys. Let us know what you think about these topics that we've talked about in the comments. We appreciate your feedback. What are you up to this Wednesday, guys? What are you talking about?
Oh, it's mine. What do I have to develop?
Weren't we talking about something on Wednesday night?
Okay, here's my notes. We're going to talk about, there's this topic of graduating from the red pill.
Gas station.
Like you find the truth and then you move on from it. Dumb idea. Yeah. And then when she comes back, basically the return of the Jezebel. As conditions get worse, she's going to realize, gee, maybe he wasn't such a bad guy. I'm destitute. Maybe I should go back and check and see if he'll take me back. Of course, she's going to be wearing a new mask. She found Jesus.
Of course,
blah,
yes.
blah, blah,
all of the transformation. So, yeah.
You're going
to dive into that one. Oh, good.
And then, this relates to situational morality.
Interesting.
And her feelings as opposed to facts.
Okay.
And development of a new narrative. So those are my rambling notes that I got to put in some cohesiveness. But I think the title will be Return of the Jezebel.
Oh, this is going to be so fun to generate a graphic for.
It'll be fun.
Yes.
I already got some Bible verses in mind.
Excellent, Nick. I just want to say these to our watchers. These topics might sound like they're not related. Oh, they're related. And I'm sure we will discuss in detail how they are related on Wednesday.
Oh, I'm looking
with Bible
forward.
verses.
I'm looking forward to this show. I'll have to rewatch it, guys. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I always look forward to your shows on Wednesdays. Yeah, let me share with our viewers the schedule so that you guys know in case you are new here. Okay. So join the Resurgence of Sanity, guys. It's a YouTube channel on Wednesdays at 5:45 p.m. Pacific. And then also join us for regular workouts on my channel, my crazy piano practice. Read some articles that you talked about earlier today on my Substack. And then you can sign up for the cross-training fitness program on Udemy and for other classes on my Patreon. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this one for a moment. Yeah, I'm always so excited about your Wednesday shows because I know that they are very deep, thought-provoking shows. And I'm taking notes whenever I join you guys because it's, you know, the stuff that you guys come up with, it's incredible. You know, the three of you.
Hey, you know what? Our shows are so damn repetitive.
No,
Well,
we take another topic, we talk about it, but it's all consistent with
it is
past.
consistent.
It's really nothing new here. Slightly different take. We talk about it again. It's the same damn theme.
Well, Steve, I mean, you're saying, talking about graduating from the red pill next week. Okay. One of our core arguments is that you cannot leave behind the truth.
Mm.
Well, certain things are true, which means that we, in being consistent with our own actions and beliefs, are going to keep going back to topics. And we'll check in on them. We'll try and refine them. We'll try and see if is there something new we learned.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the truth is the truth. And you have to keep going back to it. It's how you keep yourself centered. And as we were talking about last week, it's how you keep yourself from being carried away by the emotional whims of the world. And then having those emotional whims manipulated and used against you. So what you guys are seeing out there in real time is our process for maintaining our frame and maintaining our sense of the truth and our understanding of the truth.
Yeah, because every time you give up the truth, you are easily swayed into the opposite direction.
Not opposite, any direction.
Any direction, really. Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you had fun today. Remember to please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and thank you, guys. Thank you, Steve, Nick, Plutarch. It's always great to talk to you. Bye.
But
Elena's Barre, the best place on the internet, the very best by far.